You want to do this right now? Let's do this. Close the door.
I hate it when Beth and Randall fight, but let's go ahead and break down This Is Us Season 3, Episode 16 and find out just what happened. What's going on, y'all? Lisa here with your weekly dose of This Is Us rambling. Sorry, this one is kind of a day late, but lots of stuff going on for me in these next 2 weeks, so I might be a little behind on some stuff. But anyway, this episode of This Is Us had so many feelings, both good and kind of bad, but most of all, the really hard part about this episode is seeing Beth and Randall's relationship hit what seems like ultimately the breaking point. So let's go ahead and just break it all down. So in our flashback for this episode, we finally have some Jack back, and we have the big three going to their first dance as kids. Now Kevin's hoping to get his first kiss from Sophie, and well, Randall's more worried about studying for his science test the next week than going with Kate's friend who invited him. But they all head off to the dance where Jack and Rebecca are also chaperoning, and Rebecca learns that Jack never went to a school dance. So Rebecca decides to give Jack kind of the proper school dance experience, and they sneak off into the library to make out, but are interrupted by Randall, who has ditched his date to study for his science test. Rebecca then tells Randall that he made a commitment to Jessica, so his studying has to wait, and all three go back into the gym. Meanwhile, Kevin and his friends TP to the principal's office, and he convinces Sophie to help, and then he gets his first kiss too, and I gotta say, little Kevin's got some game, man.
What are you doing, Kevin? Now you're stuck with me.
Then later, Rebecca requests one of Jack's songs that he mentioned earlier and asks him to dance, and it's just too freaking cute that Jack's having his first school dance. And Jack just looks around at the kids and says he's amazed at how Rebecca makes parenting look so effortless and how he's kind of been making things up as he goes, you know. And then looking around at the kids, he says that he knows things will be effortless for them because of her. And they kind of just are wondering what their kids' happily ever afters will look like. We also get a hypothetical of what if little Jack and little Rebecca met in school and if they would have liked each other, and Jack pretty much confirms that he thinks once he saw Rebecca when they were kids at a school dance, everything else would have disappeared. So yeah, Jack's still winning us over even in the hypotheticals. Now in our present day for Toby, he's having a tough time adjusting to being a dad and having little baby Jack. Kate is right there singing to baby Jack during his tests and all of this, but Toby is the worrywart, and all he sees and feels is baby Jack's pain, so he even has to excuse himself as little Jack gets tests done. Toby ends up finding a kindred spirit in the waiting room with the guy who did Stifler's mom in American Pie. Now in the same way that Jack brought up how being a parent seemed effortless for Rebecca, while he made everything up, Toby's kind of having that same feeling as he knows Kate really stepped right into being a mom and he doesn't know what to do. Toby then goes back to see Kate and baby Jack and apologizes because he feels like he's been letting her down, and Kate gets honest with him and says that she has been feeling like she's been doing this alone. Now Toby explains that he just doesn't know how to look at Jack the way she does, and he's scared, but Kate explains that she's scared too, but then she looks in Jack's eyes and she sees them in him and remembers that they made him together. So she reassures Toby that he is cut out for this. And then she decides to put him to the test by leaving him sitting with baby Jack while she goes to shower. Now when Kate comes back, we see she finally gets to hold tiny baby Jack, and then Toby holds tiny baby Jack, and we see Toby look into Jack's eyes and finally smile.
This is your dad.
So yeah, for Toby, he's been having a really tough time. It's not been easy for him, and I think that this could be maybe a factor in the future flash forward that we saw where he's depressed again and on his own. Or maybe that's all just something to throw us off, and what Toby is dealing with in the future is actually something else. Either way, I was happy to see that sweet moment with Toby and baby Jack and the smile. Now for Kevin, he and Zoey go to couples therapy where they open up to each other about the trust issues and everything. Now Kevin seems pretty set on the fact that he's changing and he'll do whatever it takes to win Zoey's trust back because he wants everything with her, meaning kids, marriage, and whatnot. Well, that leads to a bigger discussion back at the apartment because you see, Zoey doesn't want kids, and she had thought they were on the same page from something Kevin had muttered in an earlier episode or so. But now she realizes they aren't on the same page, and she tells Kevin he has to decide what he wants, because if he doesn't want kids, Zoey's all in with him. But if he does want kids and he needs kids to make his life complete, then she doesn't want to waste any more of his time, because it seems like her opinion is not changing. So Kevin goes off to think about this while hitting up some AA meetings, trying to find the one that he actually likes. Now on his way back from one, he actually ends up on Sophie's street and stops outside of her place just as she arrives home. Now she asks him if he's okay, and Kevin asks her to coffee, and that's when Sophie's kind of like, well, I'm engaged now, but Kevin's like, that's fine, coffee should be safe, he just wants to talk. So they go to coffee, and Sophie tells Kevin about her fiance and how they met. Kevin then fills Sophie in on his dilemma with Zoey. Sophie basically tells Kevin the reason he's having a hard time with making this decision is because he's not used to having to make decisions. He's always used his charm, or him just being him, to get what he wants, much like how he kind of just smiled at Sophie in the flashback and got her to help TP the principal's office when she didn't want to. Zoey actually also mentioned in couples therapy how Kevin was so charming. Sophie then tells Kevin that it sounds like Zoey's actually good for him because, hey, she even got him to go to couples therapy, and she tells Kevin to decide what he wants because he always gets it. So Kevin returns home and tells Zoey that he chooses her final answer, and for some reason all I heard during this scene was, I choose you, Pikachu. So those are the two storylines that have a little bit more of a happy, heartfelt moment at the end of the episode. Now we gotta talk about the gut-punching ugly moment, I guess. So for Beth and Randall, things seem okay at first. They're both hustling, working overtime, making their hectic schedules work. Now Beth has a dance recital that starts at 7:30 p.m. sharp, and she reminds Randall about this, and he promises to be there, but he ends up showing up a little bit late and misses the nice speech that was made about Beth. And Beth does kind of take a little jab at him bringing that up, but you know, Randall tried his best to get there. So then Randall tells Beth that the next night he was invited to a dinner at the city council president's house, and it's kind of a big deal because that guy assigns the new councilmen to their committees, and Randall wants to make a really good impression, and the most impressive thing about him, he thinks, is Beth, so he really needs her to be there for him. Beth, however, has a class that night, but Randall says it's a late dinner so she could make it, and well, Beth ends up saying that she'll be there. The next day though, Beth calls Randall to say that she can't make it because she got invited to drinks with her boss and the other instructors, which is a pretty big deal since she's the new one in the bunch and they're including her and it's important for her job. But Randall, of course, is like, well, you said you'd come to my dinner already. It's very important too, and I already told Duncan you'd be there.
Trying to be a good councilman and husband and father, which, for the record, has been my pleasure. I need you to do this one thing. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I hear you.
You made it clear what you want.
So that's definitely not a great way to end a call, right? Flash forward a few hours, and Randall is waiting outside Duncan's house trying to get a hold of Beth, but she's not answering any texts in. The calls keep going to voicemail, so he's basically reached his boiling point and leaves one angry voicemail.
If you had told me something was this important to you, heaven and earth couldn't have stopped me from being there. I hope you're off having fun, talking about how to teach bored housewives how to twirl better. Grow the hell up, Beth.
Then to his surprise, in the middle of dinner, there's a knock on the door and Beth has arrived saying she got stuck in horrible traffic because there was an accident on the highway, plus her phone died. So now Randall is on edge, wondering if she heard the voicemail. Also, like, does she not have a phone charger in her car? Anyway, Randall's hoping that Beth did not hear the voicemail and that her phone doesn't charge while she's at the house. Well, Beth does help Randall schmooze, and Randall's starting to think, okay, maybe she didn't hear this voicemail, but then he realizes something is up when she pulls her hand away from his. Now, as they leave the Duncan house, Randall fesses up to leaving her a voicemail that's pretty angry that she should delete. But unfortunately for him, Beth already heard that voicemail.
You mean the one where you belittled me and told me to grow the hell up? Yeah, I got it. After I gave up an important night with my new coworkers, then sat nearly 3 hours in traffic, then endured a 3-hour dinner because...
Ouch. Yeah, Randall though refuses to sleep on the cot at his office and returns home, and those two close the door ready to hash things out. That's, of course, where the episode ends, so we'll have to wait until next week to find out just what grievances and problems these two are ready to air out that they have been holding on to for what seems like a very long time. Now, I gotta say, I do love Beth and Randall. Honestly, besides Jack and Rebecca, they've been couple goals this whole show, so I kind of hate seeing them fight, but in a way I can see why they are. I'm basically interested to see the root of where all this started in their relationship. And with Kevin, I think he'd actually make a great dad, so I'm kind of sad to see him agree to, you know, not want kids, but I get it as well. Some people just don't want kids. Part of me does think Zoey, though, is still good for him, and you never know. You know, Kevin is charming. He does get what he wants. You never know. One day, Zoey may change her mind and actually want kids. Anyway, let's go ahead and see what is in store for the promo for next week.
We have been having the same fight since we met.
You are the only thing I'm ever going to need. I am killing myself because I want you to have your own life.
No, you don't. I am not going to give up what I love. Now what?
Yeah, looks like we're getting down to the root of that Randall and Beth problem sooner rather than later. Yeah, looks like we're going on a whole journey through Randall and Beth's timeline and love story, and it might not be as picture perfect as we've thought their relationship was this whole time. So I'm gonna have to brace myself for that harsh truth, but for now it is time for you to hit the comments and let me know what you thought about this episode. What do you think of Beth and Randall's fight? Were both of them in the wrong, or are you on Team Randall or Beth? Do you think Toby will be able to embrace being a father to little Jack? And do you think maybe Kevin and Zoey, do you like them together, or do you think that they should maybe split up? Let me know all your thoughts and theories, and after that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button in case you haven't, and check out more of my interviews and recaps right over here, because I'm always rambling about something. Alright guys, that's it for this week's This Is Us recap. I'll see you next time. Peace out.